Let me start out with this. Gentlemen, we have the technology and capability to build the world's first single product polish. Ceramics is that polish. What I really want to talk about is Clearcoat restoration. Let's get started. I am going to be working in direct sunlight on, that's some hot paint, some very hot paint. Why? To help illustrate the many winning attributes of a single product polish, ceramics. I'm going to tape this off. I will be working right up here with ceramics. What is a single product polish? That means, in very simple terms, that I can go from heavy defect removal of paint down to a swirl-free finish with a single product. No more juggling 4 different types of compounds and polishes. Throw that garbage away. Welcome to modern day chemistry. 1 polish, 1 buffer, 1 pad. Direct sunlight. Dry pad. Yes, it has been used before. This is how much I'm using for the initial go around. This is my max shine, because after all, shine does reign supreme. Who doesn't want more shine, not less shine? This is their M21. I have it on a speed setting of 5. Let's get started. It really can be that simple. And you know what? Simplicity is one of the hallmarks of truth. If you're a total beginner, I hope you're watching this, if you are a beginner, because there's some things that are noteworthy. For example, you, in watching me, you may have noticed, and even though I'm going to speed this up to some degree in editing, that you, if you were behind the buffer working on your car, you might be in a high state of fear mode because it's literally your first rodeo. So I would default to this, that your Clearcoat car paint, that's a video for a whole nother time, can withstand or will require more polishing to do the kind of correction that you're probably aiming for. I get it, you're afraid, but just know it's gonna, as a rule, once again, take more than you think it will. Now, yes, I could default to a very aggressive compound, but I'm not going to. This represents what is called controlled abrasive technology, which is vastly different than diminishing abrasive technology. Diminishing abrasives, old school thinking, old world thinking. It's a very tight emulsion that represents that winning balance between aggressive enough and fine enough to do the fine tuning as well as the heavy lifting. Now that I've already polished once, it's not going to require quite as much polish as the first time, but I am working in the direct sunlight, so this will tend to dry up sooner versus later. Just a little sidebar is you always have to adjust based on your working conditions. I'm going to go in for yet a third time because what I want to do is, well, for one, what you don't realize is that I'm applying a high level of awareness. I'm aware of my surroundings, I'm aware of the buffer, the positioning, the tilt of it, how much the polish is perhaps drying up. So this is, detailing really is all about the details, and in this moment what I'm trying to illustrate is the details of awareness. Specifically, I really want to create this definitive line of distinction here. So I know that it's easy to get the wide open areas, and the tendency is to not get it very tightly against these sharp areas. So I want to make sure I get those. Here I have my virgin, yes, I just said virgin on camera, virgin microfiber cloth. I always recommend a microfiber cloth. It is the softest, safest cloth for your paint surface or clear coat. Once again, direct sunlight on very, very hot paint. So let me clarify hot paint. Based on experience, I'd put this at about 125 degrees because after about 30 seconds, it just gets unbearable for my hand. One of the cool attributes of this single product polish is that it's true waterborne technology. Now, this is different than products that say they're waterborne technology, because this has been engineered so that the water molecule is the carrier for the other active and inert ingredients. That is a massive difference when it comes to chemical engineering. One of the many winning attributes of this polish. And yes, I have skin in the game, just FYI. So some of you might call this a review a little bit biased because I've got skin in the game, which means I have invested in this company. But which came first? Me acknowledging the winning attributes of this polish, therefore I want to put my skin in the game, or I put skin in the game first and now I'm trying to push it or my agenda onto you? I'll let you and your cynical mind decide. This polish has been formulated with what's called a surfactant, which is a glorified name for soap. Now you think, why would you possibly want soap in your polish? Well, it's in many ways, it's kind of a natural winning attribute of the way it was uniquely formulated. What that translates to you is that when you introduce water into the equation, cleanup is super, super simple. Talk to the world of professional detailing, auto body, paint body, collision repair, car restoration, whatever you want to call it. And cleanup is a massive time suck. Most people do not even have enough experience to factor that in, but cleanup is a massive time suck. That will not be the case with this, which is massively important. Now, some people will claim, and perhaps it's showing up on camera, the dust that is involved. Well, when you understand chemistry enough, specifically when it comes to formulating polishes, dust is actually an indicator. And what that specifically is an indicator of is the fact that, well, the industry calls it fillers, which is really just a hyped up term that people like to talk about. So in the context of fillers, this has none of those. Therefore, if the formulator wanted to make this less dusty, he could add all kinds of additives or fillers to it, which would perhaps, if you were an inexperienced beginner, that you might appreciate because you don't like dust. But there's always a trade-off for that. The trade-off is that it's going to be a product that's going to prove less effective. Essentially what this is it's kind of a what you see is what you get. Because there is no fillers or other additives that's going to mask or hide or conceal your work, you know that what you're producing in the moment is what you're going to get, which means no comebacks, no unsatisfied customers that come back and say, hey, Darren, man, you left a bunch of swirl marks or hologramming or buffer trails in my paint. Because if I did, I would have known that in the moment and I would have corrected them in the moment. I wouldn't have sent Johnny customer away and keep my fingers crossed that he won't notice the swirl marks after the fact. None of that is going on with this. I will do my best to capture this in the right lighting, and hopes that my line of demarcation, which is right here, is going to show up. Now, have no fear. What I'm going to do is bring you in a little tighter. Now, just FYI, you can grab the wrong cloth and if you polish this to perfection, which this isn't perfection, but it looks pretty smoking hot. And by hot, I mean in a good way, as in like visually appealing. I do believe I have found that specific line of demarcation. So there is the before up here, trying to capture the sun as it reflects onto our glorious paint that is not perfect, but it is way better. Who doesn't want way better? I love way better. Let me come in a little closer. Yeah, you see that? That's what I'm talking about, baby. There we go, before, after. And once again, who knows what's gonna show up on video. Okay, party people. Thanks for joining in the little demonstration day. I hope you have learned a little something along the way. Always check the links in the show more box directly below each video. And by all means, if I ask you, if you learned a single thing that you find useful in your world, give it a thumbs up. No, literally right now, give it a thumbs up. And by all means, leave me a comment and let me Well, how about this? You can shoot holes in my talk track and my critical thinking. Let me know what you think. Until then, we will see you on the next video.